From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Malacañang on Thursday announced that there would be a new secretary to lead the Department of Transportation or DOTR starting February 21st. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed former Basis Conversion and Development Authority or BCDA President and Chief Executive Officer Vivencio Vince Dizon as the new DOTR Secretary. Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin disclosed that Dizon will be replacing outgoing Transportation Chief Jaime Bautista, who has resigned due to health reasons. In a statement, Bersamin said, Dizon is already authorized by the Office of the President to start the transition at the DOTR in coordination with the team of Secretary Bautista. Dizon also served as the presidential advisor on flagship programs and projects during the previous administration and was also the deputy chief implementer of the National Action Plan against COVID-19.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday reminded local government candidates not to be swayed by the intense emotions and personal nature of elections, particularly those at the village and municipal levels. Speaking before town mayors during the League of Municipalities of the Philippines or LMP 2025 General Assembly at the Manila Hotel, President Marcos acknowledged the heat of elections, especially at the local level. However, the President stressed that while the election process can be emotionally charged and contentious, it is essential to remember that democracy requires candidates to seek a mandate from the people. Despite the heated competition and the sometimes harsh rhetoric exchanged during campaigns, the chief executive underscored the true purpose of public service. President Marcos also urged local candidates to remain focused on their mission to serve the Filipino people, especially amid the challenges of a polarized election season. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Today, we are convened here as leaders and public servants who have dedicated our years and, in many cases, our lives to civil service. For many of us, this is a calling and it is a lifelong commitment to serve our people. Public service has defined much of my life. I have had the privilege of serving in various capacities as a legislator, as a governor, now as president. Throughout these years, one thing has remained constant to me. The challenges before us are always great, but the opportunity to create lasting change is even greater. Our municipal mayors, you are the front lines of governance. You are the first to hear the concerns of our people, the first to act on their needs, and the first to bear the weight of their expectations. Your initiatives are anchored with the realities on the ground. You understand the strengths and limitations of your towns, and you design programs directly to respond to the needs of your constituents. A testament to this is the progress that we have made in local governance. Because of the refinements that you have introduced in measuring financial sustainability under the seal of good local governments, So many LGUs have met our highest standards. From over 493 LGUs in 2023, this has grown to 714 in 2024. That number is a clear indication. Yes, this is a very good result. This is a clear sign that more local governments are boosting fiscal discipline and transparency. Beyond this, you have contributed to the formulation and lobbying of key pieces of legislation, such as the Real Property Valuation and Assessment Reform Act, a very, very important act that clears up so much of the confusion that we run into, especially when it comes to building, reclassifying, or all of the things that we do to develop our land. The valuation and assessment process that has now been put in place has clarified a great deal of the problems that we were facing before. Also, is the Automatic Income Classification of Local Government Units Act. These laws uphold standards in managing real property and providing a more equitable system for local government financing. We have to do this because you are a victim of your own success. Kasi ang gagaling ninyo masyado, nakaabot na karamihan ng ating mga municipality ay nabigyan na ng seal of good local governance. Kaya't ang gagawin ngayon natin, we will make it even more rigorous in the testing so that makita naman natin na talagang yung standards natin sa local government ay dahan-dahan naman umaakyat. In our collective drive to localize the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, you have also spearheaded island cluster conferences, ensuring that municipal leaders are equipped to align local programs with global targets for sustainability and development. Nagsimula tayo rito sa alignment between local government projects and national projects. At yan ang aming sinusulong at dahan-dahan naman nagko-coordinate tayo. Ngayon, tayo ay sinisynchronize na rin natin ang ating ginagawa. Hindi lamang para dito sa national government ng Pilipinas, kung hindi pati na sa mga standard na ibinigay sa atin ng United Nations. At this juncture, I stand before you as somebody who has walked the same road that you have, who knows the difficulties and the rewards of local governance. I understand the weight of the responsibility that comes with the job. But I also know the fulfillment of seeing lives change for the better because of the work we do. Yet, governance remains dynamic. The drivers of economic progress have changed from the traditional industry to innovation-based services. Technology has advanced so far and so fast. Climate change has upended our lives, and our people expect a government that is efficient, that is responsive, that is inclusive. The solutions of yesterday no longer are relevant today. They do not address the problems of today. So we carry a mission that's more crucial than ever. We must lead. And we must lead with integrity, serve with competence, and govern with a vision that extends beyond our terms in office. Sa dulo ng ating panunungkulan, isang tanong lamang ang mahalaga. Mas maginhawa ba ang buhay ng mga Pilipino dahil sa ating mga ginawa? Kung ang sagot ay oo, alam natin, nagampanan natin ang ating tungkulin. So as this term comes to a close, I encourage you to reflect on the work that you have done. And whatever path you choose after this, whether you seek another mandate or move on to a new chapter in your lives, I trust that you will embrace the same grit, passion, and commitment to service. Even beyond your tenure, I hope that you will adopt and sustain the reforms that we have introduced in national and in local government, such as the ELGU, which helps streamline services, the Kalinisan sa Bagong Pilipinas for healthier communities, the extended producer responsibility for environmental conservation. So let us strengthen this partnership, one that transcends positions and terms, so that governance remains a force for prosperity and public service, a legacy that continues to endure beyond our time. Complementing your efforts, this administration is focusing on streamlining and digitalizing bureaucracy to make government services more efficient. We are reinforcing collaboration across sectors to ensure that policies that we put in place address the actual contemporary needs and the challenges that you face. One concrete step in this direction is the implementation of the Electronic Business One-Stop Shop, or EBOS. As of last year, 113 out of 1,634 LGUs have fully complied with the EBOS requirement. Meanwhile, over 1,200 LGUs have now initiated automation efforts to enhance their transactions. To further support this shift, we have developed the eLGU as a ready-to-use EBOS platform, with 741 LGUs adopting it as of 2024. We have made critical government frontline services more transparent and accessible to our people. The modernized Philippines government electronic procurement system also drives our push for efficiency and transparency in public procurement. With features like the virtual store, the e-wallet, e-payment, e-marketplace, we are simplifying processes, ensuring accountability, and safeguarding public funds. Sa pangyayari ngayon, nandito na tayo sa ating kasaysayan, at ang humaharap sa atin na mundo ay what faces us today is a highly technical world, a highly technical system for our different economies, for the global economy, and a rapidly accelerating development in all kinds of research and technology. And that is why we have to keep up with that. At hindi lamang dahil kailangan natin makipagsabayan sa iba't ibang bansa. Ngunit bukod pa ron, ay kailangan natin na magamit ang pinakamagagandang teknolohiya upang maging mas maganda ang serbisyo nating ibinibigay sa tao. Kailangan na natin maunawaan kung paano natin gagamitin ang mga bagong teknolohiya, kagaya ng aking mga nabanggit. Ito ay makakatulong para maging mas mabilis, mas maginhawa, at mas accountable lahat ng ating mga ginagawa para sa taong bayan. Napaka-importante nito. This is very, very important. Because without doing this, as you can see, we have seen the differences not only within our own political system, but also with the different countries around the world. Yung mga bansa na nakapag-develop na mabilis at nai-adapt ang itong mga teknolohiyang ito, ay sila ang nagiging matagumpay. At kung yung mga iba naman na hindi nila nagawa itong paggamit ng mga bagong teknolohiya upang pagandahin ang serbisyo para sa publiko, yan ang mga bansa na naiiwanan. Kaya't namin ito ay sinulong upang wag naman ang Pilipinas maging isa sa mga bayan na naiiwanan. Ngunit sa ngayon, sa pagsasama at kooperasyon ng national government at saka ating mga LGU, maganda naman ang nagiging progreso. Kailangan lang natin pagpatuloy at tuloy naman ang ating suporta sa mga LGU para sa pag-adapt ng mga bagong teknolohiya. Napipilitan na tayo ngayon. Kailangan lahat tayo maging techie na. Kailangan lahat tayo, hindi na maaari yung pag may gagawin kayo, papagawa mo sa anak mo kasi hindi mo naintindihan. Kailangan maintindihan na ninyo ang technology, kailangan maintindihan na ninyo ang bagong sistema upang ma-maximize ito para sa serbisyo sa publiko. Sa kalinga at inisyatiba para sa malinis na bayan o kalinisan sa bagong Pilipinas program, last year alone, 22,200 barangays took part in the regular cleanup activities, demonstrating synergy in building a healthier, more dignified nation. Ito rin ay napakahalaga dahil lahat naman siguro sa municipal mayor ay naramdaman ninyo ang napakahirap na nagiging epekto ng climate change. Kaya kailangan naman, lahat naman tayo ay gagawin natin ang lahat upang mabigyan ng kaunting proteksyon ang ating mga constituent dito sa mga bagong pangyayari. Hindi naman natin masasabi na yung nakaraan ng mga bagyo, nung na 6 na bagyo na dumaan sa Pilipinas sa 23 araw, ay hindi natin masasabi na hindi mauulit yan. Kaya kailangan na natin paghandaan. Kailangan na natin tignan ano ang naging problema sa mga nakaraan. Dahil ang mga nangyayari, ang panahon ngayon, ang weather ngayon, ay hindi na natin maasahan yung mga dating ginagawa natin. Tayong lahat, pagka sinabi sa atin, may parating na bagyo, meron na alam na natin yung gagawin natin. Kukunin natin yung heavy equipment, dadalhin din sa municipality, dadalhin sa Kapitolyo. At i-alert na natin lahat ng mga first responders. Alam na natin na kung paano gagawin. Ngunit ngayon ay nagbago talaga. At kung saan hindi nagkakabaha noon, nagkakabaha na ngayon. Kung saan naman hindi gumuguha lupa noon, nangyayari na ngayon. Dahil kailangan natin tanggapin na ang weather ngayon ay hindi kagaya ng panahon, ang mga bagyo ngayon, hindi kagaya ng bagyo noon. Sila ay mas malakas at mas madalas. At tayo ay siguro, tayo naman sa Pilipinas, nasa frontline tayo niyan. Dahil ang mga pag-assess ng risk factor sa buong mundo, ang Pilipinas laging top 3. Kaya't kailangan talaga natin pag-isipan ito at paghandaan ito. Dahil sa bagong Pilipinas, hangad natin ang tunay at pangmatagalang pagbabago para sa lahat ng Pilipino. At ang pagbabago ay hindi lamang tungkulin ng gobyerno, kundi bawat mamamayan. Kaya tumaasa akong magsisikap tayong lahat na maging bagong Pilipino. Isang mamamayang inuna ang bayan bago ang sarili. Kumikilos para sa kapwa at naniniwala sa kakayahan na ating itataguyod ang ating kinabukasan. Hindi natin kaya nga, bilang leader, halimbawa, ikaw ay mayor, ikaw man kahit na anong klaseng elected official, kung ano yung ninanais ninyong gawin, alam naman natin, hindi natin kayang gawin ng tayo lang. Nag-iisa tayo, nasa opisina, umiikot, na tayo lang, kahit nag-iisa, nagagawa natin lahat ng kailangan gawin. Kailangan natin na samahan tayo ng ating mga kababayan. At ang Pilipino naman ay nakakaunawa. Ang Pilipino naman ay makabayanihan. Kaya't hindi mahirap na pakiusapan ang ating mga kababayan, ang ating mga kapitbahay, ating mga kapamilya, ang ating mga kaibigan, na sila ay tumulong. Dahil kailangan natin lahat ng kamay ng mabibigay ng ating mga kababayan upang magbigay ng konting lutas dito sa problemang hinaharap natin. We must engage our public. We cannot do these very hard things alone, very important things alone. And that's why in the national government we have adopted the policy and the concept of the whole of government approach. We have even expanded that to the whole of society approach. Kaya sinasama na ngayon natin ang ating mga private sector, ang ating mga negosyante, ang ating mga NGO, ang civil society, lahat ay sinasama natin upang makipagtulungan sa ating lahat. Yan ang kailangan natin gawin. Dahil itong problemang mga hinaharap natin ay hindi lamang problema ng mayor, hindi problema ng vice mayor ng sanggunian. Problema ito ng bawat isa na nasa constituency ninyo. Kaya dapat ay kasama ang ating mga kababayan sa pagbigay ng solusyon. So together we will forge a legacy of leadership, not only measured by words, but by livelihoods created, by lives improved, by dreams that have been realized. A legacy that will uplift our people today and empower our nation for many, many generations to come. Ngayon, nakita naman natin itong ating mga achievement. papasok na tayo. Nagsimula kahapon ang campaign period para sa mga national candidates. At nagsimula na kami, nasa lawag kami kagabi at hinarap namin ang mga kandidato ng alyansa. Ngunit ang mga local government officials ay papasok na. Mag-aantay na lang tayo ng 6 na linggo at kayo na ay magpapasok na sa campaign period. At alam naman natin, at ako sa karanasan ko, ang pinakamaiinit na eleksyon ay linalaban sa local government. Sa matter of fact, palagay ko, siguro mag-agree kayo sa mga mayor kayo, nakikita ninyo ito. Ang pinakamainit na eleksyon ay barangay. Yun ang dahil puro magkakilala, puro magkakamag-anak. Kaya't nagkakapersonalan. Mainit pa rin kahit sa municipality. And tama yan. That is the process of democracy. Kailangan natin dumaan sa eleksyon. Kailangan natin makuha ulit ang mandato ng tao upang tayo ay magawa natin ang ating trabaho. Ngunit, sa init ng kampanya, sa init ng halalan, huwag natin kakalimutan na tayo ay nandito, tayo ay pumasok sa serbisyo ng publiko upang tulungan ang taong bayan. Kahit na mainit na nga ang laban, maiinit, maanghang na ang mga binibitawang salita. Sa punot dulo nito, ginagawa natin lahat ito para makatulong sa ating mga minamahal na kapwa Pilipino. Huwag natin sana makakalimutan yan. At pagkatapos ng halalan, ay alam ko kuminsan napakahirap na magpalamig ng ulo ulit. Ngunit kailangan natin gawin yun dahil kailangan natin lang lahat ng mga gustong tumulong na magkapit-bisig upang magtulungan.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Wednesday, the Philippines and the United Arab Emirates or UAE have signed 2 agreements to develop the Pasig River and boost the government's competitiveness. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos announced the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding or MOU between the Philippine government and the non-profit organization Clean Rivers Abu Dhabi to restore the Pasig River to its pristine condition. In a special address delivered at the Collaborative Models for Development Forum during the World Governments Summit in Dubai, the First Lady thanked the assistance provided by the UAE so that the Philippine government can now clean the river and hopefully showcase it one day, much like the Chao Phraya River in Bangkok or the Seine in Paris. Araneta Marcos hoped that further improvements in the Pasig River would be completed in time for the Philippines hosting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN in 2026. Araneta Marcos also emphasized the importance of genuine cooperation between the government and the private sector to achieve sustainable, meaningful, and inclusive change. She also touched on education, health, and environment, the 3 key areas relevant and close to her heart. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos during the event.
I'm honored to be part of this year's World Government Summit's Forum on Collaborative Models for Development, hosted by the Office of the Development Affairs of the UAE Presidential Court. Thank you for allowing me to lend my voice to the discussions on how to shape a better future for our fellow men. Unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about the SGT and all that because that's beyond my pay grade. but I will just talk about my personal experiences. Over the past couple of years, the Philippines has stepped up in its participation in the WGS. This is in line with President Marcos's, my husband's, directive to encourage all Filipinos to work together for a new Philippines, one that reflects the best of who we are. I'm joined here by some of our cabinet secretaries who are at the forefront of this effort. And over the next few days, you will have the opportunity to exchange views with them on how they have been reaching out to our people in order to bring about changes that can be seen, felt, and actually enjoyed. As First Lady, I have had the privilege of working with both the public and private sectors to help bring about changes in our society. Our efforts may not be that grand as the UAE, but they have definitely helped to make an impact on those who need it most. So let me take this opportunity to share 3 personal experiences which are close to my heart and which I believe are relevant to our discussions today. The first is education. And I don't know why they put the slide too early, but for the past 28 years, I have been a law professor in public schools all over the country. There's a reason why I'm saying this, not to burst my bubble, but I made it a point to purposely teach the same class of students for 4 years straight, from the time they enroll as first-year law students until their 4th year, which is when they finally graduate from law school, take the bar, and become fully fledged lawyers. By teaching the same batch of students for 4 consecutive years, I've witnessed the transformation of my students from shy of words of love and laboratory. So every week, we select a city and bring laboratory services to the communities via mobile clinics. Again, we're kind of small time compared to other countries, but we are accompanied by several doctors, nurses, and other healthcare personnel who volunteer their services for free. A week before the event, they go around the nearby areas and provide free medical and dental services, plus medicines and vitamins to communities where access to medical equipment and other resources are limited. This is in keeping with the words of my husband when he says that government must bring medical services to the people and not the other way around. So what started as a project that provided free medical services grew into a caravan that offered the business mentorships, legal services, scholarships, seedlings for farmers, and much more. So eventually, our Lab for All project became a one-stop shop for all sorts of services. And I can't even begin to tell you how heartwarming it is when you see the grateful smiles of the thousands of beneficiaries that come to our program. This wouldn't have been made possible were it not for the collaborative help of our private sector partners who happily shared their resources to make this project a success. So the third and last item I want to talk about was the environment. For those of you who had visited our country, you would know that the capital of the Philippines is Manila. Earlier I was talking to some women who wanted to move to Manila or to the beaches of the Philippines. Anyway, surrounding our city is this bustling 27-kilometer river that has had a cultural and economic significance to our people. Unfortunately, no one really took care of the river and its environs, and over the years, it has become a sight for sore eyes. It was polluted, dirty, stinky, and every other adjective you could think of. So 2 years ago, my husband formed an interagency committee whereby various government agencies would regularly meet with the sole purpose of finding ways and means to bring our river back to life. Slowly but surely, we were able to construct an esplanade where everyone from all walks of life could bike, stroll, break bread along the river. And now, thanks to the assistance provided by the UAE, especially Clean Rivers, which is an Earth Zayed initiative. Thank you very much again. We just signed the MOU earlier. We will be able to clean our river and hopefully make it a showcase, much like the Chao Phraya River in Bangkok or the Seine in Paris. This is another project where government and private sector work together to refurbish public spaces and instill pop-up eateries for the enjoyment of all. Hopefully, these improvements will be completed in time for our country's hosting of the ASEAN next year. So these are but three examples of how genuine cooperation between government and the private sector can help achieve change that is sustainable, meaningful, and inclusive. As I've always said, government cannot do it alone. We need to work closely with the private sector if we are going to make a meaningful change. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I still have 2 minutes left. Allow me to thank you for the opportunity to share my experiences on collaborative engagement. I wish you all the success in our discussions on how we can develop our individual countries through meaningful collaboration. Shukran.
You just heard Philippine First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo is hoping to meet his United States counterpart, State Secretary Marco Rubio, to further discuss the Philippine-U.S. cooperation. In an interview with reporters on Wednesday, Secretary Manalo confirmed that he will attend the Munich Security Conference taking place in Germany from the 14th to the 16th of February. The official said he hopes to further discuss with the U.S. top diplomat the two states' cooperation as a follow-up to their recent talks. Manalo said the trilateral Philippine-U.S.-Japan cooperation is also a subject for further conversations with his counterpart. In the same interview, he said the agency is hoping to clarify what assistance in the Philippines will be affected by the U.S. foreign aid freeze, but did not indicate if he will raise the matter once he meets Rubio in Germany. The Trump administration earlier announced a 90-day freeze on U.S. foreign aid worldwide, except for emergency food and military funding for Israel and Egypt. Manalo told reporters that the DFA has yet to formally clarify or get information on what U.S.-funded aid work in the Philippines was affected. The U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, has been funding various grassroots programs in the country, from education to disaster preparedness. On disaster relief and early recovery alone, the USAID has provided more than 22 billion pesos since 2010.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Japanese government has earmarked up to 444 million yen, or around 168 million pesos, to support the Open Radio Access Network, or Open RAN System Laboratory at the University of the Philippines, or UP Diliman, in Quezon City. The grant aid was formalized during the signing and exchange of notes between Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo, and Japanese Ambassador Endo Kazuya at the new DFA office in Pasay City on Wednesday. The grant will cover the provision of Open RAN-related equipment to the laboratory, which the UP Diliman and the United States Agency for International Development or USAID set up through a 2024 Memorandum of Understanding. The laboratory is poised to establish an environment to deploy the Open RAN system, which will potentially allow telecommunication firms such as Smart and Globe Telecom to mix and match hardware and software from any information and communication technology or ICT vendor. By diversifying the vendors, the system is expected to lower the cost of 5G network deployment as well as stimulate innovation in the Philippines. The deployment of Open RAN system had been discussed between the two states in various occasions, as well as during their trilateral meetings with the U.S. Endo said he looks forward to the success of the laboratory so that it may make a stronger case for Open RAN and its application throughout the country. Manalo, for his part, thanked the Japanese government for this support and confirmed anew the growing cooperation between the two states. Endo, in a separate interview, said, "This new grant is on top of the U.S. and Japan's $8 million pledge for Open RAN field trials in the country." UP Vice President for Digital Transformation, Peter C., who witnessed the signing, said, "Telecommunication firms are most welcome to UP for testing." The laboratory, C said, was inaugurated a few weeks ago. The Japanese embassy said this project on Open RAN is a show of Tokyo's support to enabling an open, interoperable, secure, reliable, and trusted ICT ecosystem in the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Agriculture, or DA, on Wednesday announced the temporary ban on the import of animal products from Germany to prevent the spread of foot and mouth disease, or FMD. This came after Germany confirmed FMD cases among its domestic buffaloes in Hoppegarten, Markisch, Arderland, Brandenburg before the World Organization for Animal Health, or WOAH, on January 10th. FMD, a highly contagious viral infection, affects cloven-hoofed livestock, including cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, and buffaloes. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. said the ban would remain in place until Germany regains its FMD-free status from WOAH. Under DA Memorandum Order No. 8, the issuance of sanitary and phytosanitary import clearances for products from susceptible animals is also suspended. Some products, however, are exempted, among them ultra-high temperature milk and derivatives, heat-treated meat products in hermetically sealed containers, protein meal and gelatin, in vivo derived bovine embryos, as well as limed hides, pickled pelts, and semi-processed leather. The order also exempts products already in transit or have arrived at the country's ports, provided they were from animals slaughtered before December 26, 2024.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, is exploring more job opportunities for skilled Filipino workers as the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, seeks to attract more foreign workers to support its 2025 growth and development plans. On Wednesday, Migrant Workers Secretary Leo Magpayo reiterated the DMW's commitment to seeking more overseas employment for Filipino workers while ensuring their protection and welfare while working in a foreign country. During the Future of Work Forum at the World Governments Summit 2025 being held from February 11th to the 14th in Dubai, UAE, Minister of Human Resources and Emiratization, His Excellency Dr. Abdul Rahman Al-Awar, highlighted the country's vision of attracting top global talent to drive innovation and economic growth. He also underscored the importance of sustainable education in addressing skills gaps in the labor market. The World Governments Summit brings together world leaders, experts, and institutions to discuss trends in key industries including labor, health, education, climate change, technology, tourism, and emerging economies, among others. In 2024, the DMW and UAE renewed their bilateral agreement ensuring cooperation in employment opportunities, adherence to ethical standards of employment, and workers' protection.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.